5 minutes to go in free practice 2. Let's turn our attentions back to the track, shall we? We have resumed after a red flag situation for a stray inflatable, and Alvaro Bautista is still your leader in free practice 2, having got through on Alex Lowe's. Lowe's just made his way back into the pits, actually. Dominic Egerter is third fastest, ahead of Remy Gardner and Jonathan Ray, who is on his way out onto the track. So it's going to be a last stint and probably a hot lap effort here from Jonathan Ray, who currently sits P5.
Top 15 all within a second of each other as well. Rinaldi's in 16th spot. Obviously, we haven't seen anything from him in this session, really, with all the issues that he's had. So that gives a good indication that you've got 15, 16 bikes all looking pretty competitive at this stage of the weekend, because Rinaldi, when push comes to shove tomorrow in the Super Pole session, you'd certainly expect him to be able to get some decent lap times in. Bradley Ray comes across the line. Ray 1.5 seconds off the pace in this session. That's a good start to the weekend for him.
And in terms of those riders all covered by a second, that's kind of where we've been through this season. We've got all of the factory teams riders in there. Obviously, Loris Baz a little bit out of position compared to where we've generally seen him, and you'd assume that's down to the injury. But aside from that, 16, 17 riders, perhaps usually, all within a very small margin compared to what we've seen in past campaigns. These days it's much harder to score a World Championship points, and Bradley Ray's going to find that out. But he is ahead of the likes of Baldassari, Shireen, Sykes, Granado, Baz, Ryu, Koenig, Vinales. 25 riders on the grid. Not easy to make your way into the top 15.
No, not easy to make your way in, and it's a challenge even if you're Toprak Razgadioglu, as you can see there in the middle of the shot. 10th fastest right now for Toprak in this session, and 8/10 of a second off. But if you find a couple of tenths of a second, you move into the top 5, and then suddenly it looks an awful lot better on paper compared to where you're running. And that's one of the big things we've seen all the way through the season, like you said, Alex. 1/10 of a second, 2/10 of a second can be the difference between a full row on the grid in the Super Pole session, or even 2 rows at different times. So that becomes critical to be able to get the most out of yourself in your single lap pace when it matters.
Remy Gardner really looking very strong, isn't he? Again this afternoon, there's another new personal best, a 1 minute 34.7, and more than just a single lap that's put him up into those top positions. He's showing some consistency around that. And you look at Dominic Egerter also doing a good job, up in third fastest in the session. This bodes really very well indeed.
Yeah, and Jonathan Ray, you can see here on the 65, just trying to come through, and caught him at the wrong place in the track. He's going to come through and the run into the chicane, but for Ray, he's probably lost a bit too much time in this sector. He had been 2/10 of a second down on Bautista's fastest time in this lap, so again an indication that the pace is coming for Jonathan Ray as well. We've seen Lowe's fast all the way through this session as well. 2 Kawasaki's up there inside the top 5, 2 Yamahas inside the top 5, and you can catch a quick glimpse there of the man in 6th as well, Michael van der Mark on the number 60. BMW making a step forward at the closing stage of this session. Garrett Gerloff up into the top 10 as well, and Scott Redding only 1/10 of a second behind Gerloff as well. So there's progress being made by all these teams at the end of the session.
2 different laps just deleted for Andrea Locatelli. Neither of them his fastest, but it is going to be something to watch out for, particularly in Super Pole and the final laps of each of the races as well, that final turn.
Yeah, Yamaha know all about exceeding track limits through that final chicane after last year as well. But interestingly as well, we saw that Bassani lost his fastest time. It was about 3/10 of a second faster than he's gone up to this point. I think it put him up to 3rd fastest or 4th fastest at the time. But as it is, with that lap deleted, he's down 7th fastest. So maybe not the full indication of what he's capable of as well.
6/10 of a second at the moment, the gap between him and Alvaro Bautista. And of course, the counterpart to Bautista in the Aruba IT Racing team, Michael Ruben Rinaldi, has not been able to get back out on track. So Rinaldi on the number 21 bike, just the 4 laps according to the lap counter completed in this free practice 2, and bad news for him. Less than a minute now until the checkered flag falls. Jonathan Ray on his latest lap set to improve from P5.
Just very quickly in front of Jonathan Ray, it looked like it was Loris Baz out on track there. Baz about to finish his 18th lap in this session, so fitness shouldn't be an issue for Baz, and you'd certainly expect to see him action all the way through this weekend.
Jonathan Ray, the only man at the moment who hasn't improved on his time from free practice 1, but he has there a 1 minute 34.573. He goes 3rd fastest in the session, so now your combined times are an exact match for the results of free practice 2 here this afternoon, and that's nice and tidy for us.
Yeah, it does always make it a little bit easier for us when it's like that. Just to look at the individual sectors right now as well. Garrett Gerloff fast of all in sector 1. Alvaro Bautista has been comfortably the man to beat all the way through today in Sector 2. Sector 3, we've been able to see, interestingly, Dominic Aguilar on the Yamaha. Obviously, Aguilar up there inside the top 5 in the combined times. And then Sector 4, it's Alex Lowes who's strong in that run through the GT chicane. So good to see different manufacturers at the top of the sector times in each individual sector.